Here we are again, another week and another shit horror film. And this time it's the Exorcist Believers' turn to piss me off. So, as a franchise, in all fairness, it's not been actually dead for that long, the Exorcist franchise. The last film was 2004, pretty certain. But there was a TV show that was cancelled in 2017. I'm not sure when it was started, but that is something I would recommend. You know, it is a shame that pretty much no one watched it, and that's why it just got axed. But it's on Amazon Prime in the UK, so I would highly recommend that if you've got time to watch 2 seasons of TV. But this film, it's awful. So I'm going to start with the good, like I normally do. This won't take long, so don't worry. Practical makeup effects are all pretty good, especially on the 2 girls when they're possessed. And the 2 girls their acting's quite good, but only when they are possessed. There are consequences to this film at the end of it. I was expecting more of a bait horror film ending that tries to tease a sequel, but it doesn't actually do that, which shows a bit of level of restraint, I guess. So well done. As the ending is quite brutal, in all fairness. I mean, one of these kids does just die in the end, and you essentially just watch her get dragged to hell by a bunch of demons and shit. So it is quite a pretty violent and horrific scene that they put in here to pretty much end the film on. So, well done, I guess. But everything else is fucking awful. So to start with, we're just to kind of talk about the director. So David Gordon Green, I've seen all his films, but I have seen his previous 3 films, which are, well, the Halloween trilogy, the most recent Halloween trilogy. And, you know, they're also fucking awful. And to me, it's weird that Universal have spent, I think it's about 650 million just to buy like worldwide rights to this franchise in itself. That's not even including like costs it will be to like make some of these films. And they get this guy who's just come out of doing 3 shit reboot films of a franchise that, again, should probably stay dead. And I go, alright mate, we spent all this fucking money. We need you to do the same thing that you just did to Halloween. Exactly the same thing, pretty much. I mean, this guy's already got a fucking roadmap for his little trilogy that he wants to make. Fuck off. I mean, I don't get why you would go to this guy to do it. You've seen him just kill the Halloween franchise, and how you want to do it to a franchise you just spent 650 million on, and you want him to come in. You know how much money you've got to make back up as well. It's probably going to be around $1 billion, right, by the time they finish making this trilogy. And maybe they get that back, maybe they don't. I don't think they really will, especially if these films continue to be of the quality that this one has been. I mean, people are not going to, by the end of the 3rd one, people aren't going to go and want to watch that. But anyway, the actual film itself is terrible, of course. The main problems for me are the plot and the writing. It is awful. The film manages to drag itself to an almost 2-hour runtime, which is mental. There's so much of this film you can completely cut, and you probably make a better film, in all fairness. So the first bit is the whole about 20 minutes worth of screen time that's spent talking about how the girls are gone missing and trying to find them. Essentially what they do is they leave school, they go into the woods to, I guess it's to perform a seance, something like that, whatever. And then they disappear, and then they spend a bunch of time fucking around, and they come back, and they have a bunch of scenes in the hospital, and it has that little trailer line where like, oh, you've been gone for 3 days, and it's shocking and all that. So let's start off here. The seance bit, they can do that anywhere else. They didn't have to fuck off into the middle of nowhere to do it. They could have done it in that house, one of their houses, in the street even, in a fucking, I don't give a shit. And then they could have just gone back home and then started all the possession shit after that. But they don't. There's no need to put that in the trailer. You're like, oh, you come into this film and you're just essentially waiting for this bit to be gone, be done, because you know that this doesn't last very long. So what you're doing here is just wasting my time for about 20 minutes or so. This whole section also includes really stupid and horrendous jump scare. Like one of those, like, it's his neighbour has like this group of people that like, you know, that's incense and all that stuff to ward away bad spirits and all that stuff. And he comes back home from probably a really stressful day, the dad character. He looks up and his front door is open. And of course, what's the first thing? If your daughter's missing, the first thing you think, oh, no way, she's back. So he walks into his house and there's just some fucking stranger sitting on her daughter's bed. And then someone appears behind him and jump scares him. I think that's got to be like the stupidest scene you could possibly write. Everything about it is dumb, and it's there to introduce a character that you don't see until probably the last half an hour of the film, and she's one of the people that helped with the exorcism. But then they could have just had like a one line of dialogue from that neighbour character saying, oh, I know someone who could help, and then just go and get that person. They don't need this stupid, ridiculously stupid scene that in terms of this real life doesn't make any sense. There's also a little bit where they put the one of the girls into a mental institution. She's in there for, I'd say, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then they take her out anyway. So that's more time wasted for you. Bringing back Chris McNeil from the original film, The Mother. This is pointless as well. So what they do with her is she's, fuck knows, somewhere off in the distance in a different part of the country. So the guy drives to her, they have a talk. They then teleport back to the hospital to pick up the girls. She then gets blinded. And then for the rest of the film, she sits in the hospital. And she has maybe 2 or 3 extra scenes. Well, not even really scenes, like 2 or 3 extra, like, second scenes where she's just kind of laying there in the hospital. Okay. I don't really know what a point of her character was either. Cause they seem to go to her because she's an expert in it. In like exorcism and everything. She's the expert. They talk to about 4 or 5 priests in this film. There's about 4 or 5 of them in this film. And why couldn't you make one of them the expert? Why isn't not one of them an expert? Surely these guys probably have a bit more experience or just better than the lady from the first film. And you're like, of course, she's got this book and everything, but she don't care. That storyline as well was pretty much ripped straight from the TV show. From I remember the book and her daughter abandoning her mum because of the book. So she gets blinded and she fucks off pretty much. I wonder how much they paid her for it as well. There's so much weird things like the editing of the film. It's really, really jarring to watch. You have like either scenes of people just teleporting about, but they're kind of in one section. Like when he goes to see Chris McNeil, he appears on the other side of the country and reappears back. I don't know how long, maybe a day it takes, but to me it seems about a few hours. It keeps them doing these annoying janky cuts where you see for like a split second a demon or something from Parchment film when something's happening, and it's really, they've used really like horrendous sound effects to, I guess, make you jump, but it doesn't make you jump, it just annoys you. And the performances are all so bland. Everyone just looks fucking bored. Everyone looks so fed up of making this film. The guy who plays the dad, he just had zero emotion on his face for the entirety of this film. And he has his wife dying and his kids missing or possessed, and he just looks so bored. Could have maybe tried to get a bit more out of him there, but I don't care, I guess. Even the girls, I guess it's because they're possessed, but they just kind of randomly appear and reappear. Just before, even like the exorcism scene it's so hard to watch because there's so much going on and so many like quick cuts and loud bangs and terrible music. You just want it to end. I mean, they have like a fucking they have like this Avengers moment with these priests. There's about 4 or 5 of them who are like, you got to get this priest from this type of church and that one there, and they're all going to combine. They're going to beat this thing, and they even have like a rousing speech before they go in. It's really funny. It's like this stupid like superhero moment, and then they even have one where one of them's like, "No, I can't do it. The church hasn't allowed me to do this." But then he just appears. Like You kind of just like near when like everything's at their lowest, he like appears, he walks in, starts saying all this shit, and then he just dies. He gets his fucking neck snapped by these girls, and it's so funny. It's like it seems like that whole scene was just like a comedy sketch more than anything. The special effects, however, weren't. I mean, there's a few in that scene, but there's also some at the start of the film that look horrendous, and it's good they didn't use that many. The film itself is shot like a documentary. Parts of it, it's like when they do like this weird thing where there is like a documentary would do where it zooms in on something, but doesn't actually zoom in the right place, so the camera has to move to the left or we have to move to the right. And it's like a documentary. It's really, really odd and a terrible choice. And then this as a whole, this film is completely uninteresting to look at. There's not one thing visually apart from those makeup effects that is interesting or good. It's all bland, parts of it are too dark, you can't see some scenes, everything just annoys you in terms of what you're looking at. Even some things I think weren't even in focus at points, I'm pretty certain from what I remember. To make a film that's nearly 2 hours, and for every single second of it to be completely pointless, it seems to me to be a miracle. This probably, for me, could be the worst film this year, and the only thing I can think of that might even like fight this film for that is the Five Nights at Freddy film that's coming out in a few weeks. But even then, I feel like that's going to actually be entertaining and fun, whereas what this was a generic, completely bland, void of any personality, boring at points, stupid piece of fucking garbage that should never have been made and should have been burnt in a hole once the studio saw what was made. This shit should not exist. Don't go and see it. 1 out of 5 stars, and have a good one.